Today's guest is Jake. His YouTube channel is called Man Carrying Thing. Today's conversation is going into his creative process, what he does to make a video. He produces a lot of videos on YouTube. It was a great conversation for me to see what goes into it on his end, what's going on behind the scenes. And I think that whether you are a fan of the Man Carrying Thing channel, or whether you are a prospective YouTuber, or whether you are just a creative person who's interested in what goes on with creative people when they are creating their creative stuff, you're going to find something to love in this conversation. And just a little note, there is a bit of adult language in the podcasts, just like three times. So just, don't bring your children or swear along. So, who is the man? What is the thing he is carrying? Let's find out. So it made me sound very eloquent and like I could just talk off the top of my head for 20 minutes straight. Which I can do. It's just not as good.
No, me neither. I mean, I edit our second channel videos where we do like movie reviews and stuff, and we have the video too, but it's just like chop, 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 because I can't speak coherently all at once either. So it's all good.
Yeah. So you have the second channel where you do movie reviews. Do you prefer making videos where the pressure is off in a sense, because typically it's like, well, this is the second channel. I know that it's not I don't have great expectations for this. I'm just going to have fun. Like what's your thought behind that?
No, it's a grind, honestly. I mean, the second channel was our idea for a while. Nadia wanted to do some kind of film related content, and so did I. And we like talking about movies and stuff, so we were like, might as well do that. I mean, I would like to get like probably an editor on the second channel eventually, but I want it to like justify the expense, for where it is and stuff. But I don't know, I don't love doing that kind of just talking, to be honest, because I don't like editing it. I don't like because I started doing the main channel that way. I was just doing book reviews and stuff, and I just couldn't sustain that every week, especially if I was going to be doing 2 or 3 videos a week. I was like, I can't, so I just think I'm more comfortable putting out my opinions like indirectly through a skit or something. I mean, and when you look at the skits, some of them are like movie reviews. Like you can watch them and be like, I can kind of see what he thought of the latest Ant-Man movie or whatever, so it's just another way, I guess, of expressing myself.
Yeah. So the long form movie reviews are more of the traditional, you trying to like go through it in a structured way and be like, here's what we thought. But if you're doing it with your wife, then it's a bit less pressure because you can bounce ideas off of each other. Does that sound right?
Yeah, for sure. It is. And it's like, once we record it, it's great. And we can just like talk, we're going to talk about it anyways. So now what we do, we'll see a movie and we'll just be like, okay, don't say anything about it. We'll just go sit down at home and talk about it on camera. So, you gotta turn everything into content these days. You gotta,
right.
Anything, you gotta put it out there.
Right, as we're doing now, because you didn't know this was going to be recorded, and I just sneakily,
I had no idea. You just called me up, and I was like, "Oh, my pal Frank James. Oh, okay, this is gotcha journalism."
Okay, yeah. So were the skits like a thing you had always wanted to do, or was it just something one day you're like, "Let me try this out"?
I'd be curious what you think about it too, in terms of doing skits, because for me it was like I'm doing like book related stuff. I'm doing book reviews, and then it was like, well, I'm also doing school full time, and reading a ton for my English degree, so I don't have time to read all these books too on top of that. So it was like I just need to put something out. And I think I always loved, that just doing skits and stuff like that. So, and I've always made stupid videos, forever. So it felt like a natural thing that I was just drawn towards. Like, I need to put a video out. Like, I want to do something dumb and, take the piss out of something. So I'll just do it. And fortunately, that seemed to be what people liked.
So it was out of necessity in a sense, more than, man, I really want to I want to make a pivot to comedy. How long had you been doing the book reviews before you did your first comedy sketch?
I don't know. I mean, I would pepper them in there. I mean, a big, I think, influence was like Daniel Green, who's a big fantasy
Yeah.
booktuber, and he would do the occasional sketch. And I saw him do that, and I'm like, well, I could get away with that maybe. But I realized I like doing that a lot more. It got more views, you know, and so if I'm getting more views doing that, and I prefer making that, then I'm just going to keep doing that. I still do book reviews because I do like having that community and having, you know, there are still a lot of people who want to like talk about books and stuff, and I do really love that. I mean, at heart, I'm just like a big nerd. I just read all day, you know, so I like being able to have a place to put that out. But I don't know. I mean, what do you think? Because at a certain point with YouTube, if you're really dedicated and putting a lot of time into it, you want to see some result, you know, you want to see things work out. And I think like the whole thing, I'm not super deliberate with anything I do, you know, because I feel like I'm pulled in a bunch of different directions. And for a long time I was, and it was really my wife, Nadia, who pushed me to be like, hey, just do it. Just like, if you're gonna, like, you put out a video, it was good, just keep doing it every week and something will happen. And, you know, at the time I was going through school, I was like, well, this is my last chance, because once I graduate, it's like, I got to get a real job, you know? So if I'm going to make this work out, I got to just put as much as I can into it and see what happens. And fortunately it's been working out.
So even though it wasn't deliberate, or you say you're not deliberate with what you do, it sounds like it was kind of deliberate. Like, I want YouTube to work as my job, and now the window's closing. Let me try something. Let me just keep trying stuff to see if I can get something to work.
I mean, I guess it's, yeah, I don't know. I guess it's both. I mean, how was it for you? Did you feel like, I'm just going to see where this takes me, I'm going to pursue other paths, or was it just like, this has to work?
That's a good question. I feel like it was, for a while, it was like, this is all right. I think it was never, for me, I never was like, I want to be, well, I guess that's not true. Like, from the beginning, I did see YouTubers I really liked, like Casey Neistat, and I'm like, dude, that would be so cool to do something like that, and millions of people watch. But when I started doing it, it was like more of a confessional vlog, you know, and then it was like more educational, and you get those dopamine hits from the high view videos. And I was like, oh man, let me just keep chasing that.
Right.
And
Yeah.
I didn't really like think it was gonna be a job, but I just kept at it, and I wanted to get more views. It was like, I wanted to be successful at it, but I wasn't putting everything on it. And in fact, like, when I first did comedy, that's what blew up my channel. And I did it because for a long time I've been like, I want to do comedy. Like, from the beginning of my channel, I'd wanted to do comedy, and it just never worked. I never did it in the right way. I was always doing more vlog style and not like a scripted sketch.
Right.
And so when I finally did that and things took off, I was like, oh, great. let me run with this, because I was like having a panic moment before that where I was like, I don't know what I'm going to do with my life. And it wasn't really feasible to me that YouTube would become the thing, because I had no idea. Like, I did the comedy thinking it would do well. I didn't think it would do well enough to become the main thing I did.
For sure. Yeah. Yeah. I definitely relate with that, because, you know, it was kind of, I mean, I was at a similar crossroads where I was like, I don't really know what I'm going to do with my life. I didn't feel confident about YouTube at all, you know, especially at that time. And it was really Nadia pushing me like, hey, you can do this. Like, it's okay. And I just had no confidence with it until, you know, I started doing the short form stuff and the skits and the comedy. And yeah, so I guess that's where I stumbled into it. I mean, I feel like anyone who is like making a living or pursuing it full time, YouTube full time, you just kind of stumble into it, unless those rare exceptions, I think, who are like teenagers and they're like, this is going to be my career. This is going to be my life, you know. But
Yeah, so with your first sketch that you made, your first comedy video, was that like instantly clear to you, like this is performing better than everything else, or was it like, that did okay, I'll do it again sometime later?
No, it was clear, and it was also very calculated. I mean, it was like, I think it was like some kind of skit that had to do with like Daniel Green, and it was book related. So it was always like, I don't know, in my head, I was always thinking like, I don't want to get boxed into a corner. And I think maybe people who watch the channel, my channel, think it's just all very like spontaneous, and some of it is, but there's a lot of thought of like, all right, I need to do this kind of thing now, and I don't want to just make this kind of video. So it was just like trying to figure out and put different things in there. I'm sure that kind of like curating your audience, because it's like, although you are drawing people to your videos, you also want to like reach out towards different groups and find different people who can participate and watch too. So I forgot, what was the question?
What was it instantly uh, a success? And did you, I guess to elaborate on that, did you go all in on the comedy right away, or did you keep going back
No.
and forth? No.
No, yeah, I kept going back and forth for sure. Because at that point, once you have like a group of people who are like, oh, this guy's doing book reviews and he's talking about Brandon Sanderson stuff, then you want to, continue that. But yeah, just very slowly trying out new things. And yeah, that's just what I continue to do. I mean, I don't know about you, but like still today, it still feels like I'm still at the discovery stage. Like
Yeah.
you still feel like each video is a test to see where you go. And sometimes, not to whine or anything about this, amazing job that we get to do, but there is a kind of like existential dread I feel every time you're about to hit post on a video, because it does feel like, um, there's no rest really from
Right.
the next thing. Yeah.
Yeah. That's spot on. That's how I feel. It's because you can release something and it does well, but you can't really celebrate it too much because it's like, well, that's
What now?
a yeah, that's one video. Yeah.
Yeah.
Uh, what was your first massive hit? Because I think I remember which one I saw recommended to me first from you, and I think that might have been it.
Massive, I
Like
guess that
million
would.
plus. Yeah.
Well, yeah, I guess the video that really like took off would be when I did like the video essay parody.
Hmm.
I mean, I've done a few at this point now, but it was probably in 2021 or so, and that was the first video I did to hit 1 million views, and so I guess that would be the one. And yeah, I mean, you talk about the dopamine rush. It is like a drug, and it is almost, I compare it to gambling in that, you're trying new things, you're putting work into something, and just like gambling your time to see if something will work out. But when it hits and when it works, it's like, it's a great feeling.
Yeah. Did you expect with that one that it would do as well as it did, or were you just like, let's see what happens?
No, no. I mean, I'm sure you see it like where the videos you don't expect to do well just go great, and then the one you calculate to really like hit a certain group and be like, oh, this will get a ton of views, is just nothing. So it's super hard to figure that out.
Yeah. Do you feel like you're getting better at it over time, or do you feel like you're just inching forward with it?
Yeah, I mean, I feel better about it. Like, I'm like, I don't know. I feel like like a kinship with like you and like how you make videos, and because we both do, comedy, and we're focusing on different subjects, but we have like a kind of core group that what they expect from us. So it's like you go, okay, well, this one, I know this is a subject that is popular, this is relevant, but also I need to do something that I just think is silly and fun and not just focus on one thing. So, um, So I do feel like now I can kind of expect like, okay, this is what will happen with this video. It'll stop at this many views, and then um, yeah, I don't know. Try not to think too much about it, I guess.
Yeah. Do you think in terms of series? Because I know, like with me, I'm always looking for a series
Mm,
because I like to, I don't like to reinvent the wheel. I like to have a
right.
formula where I can just plug in the new scenario and then come up with
Yeah.
a new script.
Right. Um, I guess maybe I'm not consciously, I guess I'm not always thinking of series, but I mean, I don't know. Sometimes like it is a very chaotic thing with what I do, and it's not the most like professional. And but I do think that maybe what works sometimes with the videos that they come off very like random or not super planned. And because they aren't, I'm just like, all right, I got to get my 3 videos out, and I'll just be sitting there for hours and hours and hours, not knowing what to do, or just beating myself up because, oh, this isn't good enough. I'm copying myself, I'm repeating things. So, but then, there are days when I feel better about it, and I look at past videos I've done, and I'm like, huh, this is an interesting format. I could try it, like you said, like a series, or just like do something of this style, and it won't drive me up the wall trying to reinvent the wheel, which you never really want to do too much.
Right, yeah. Well, it's interesting because it might not be a series structurally, but you do have like you already mentioned several of the video essay related videos, and then you have a lot of POV sketches, which it's like the content between those differs, but I do notice that like every so often there is a POV sketch.
Mhm.
um and then but then there's also, maybe it's less series, but it's more just like the subject matter at hand, and maybe that's going back to the groups, the audience groups that you target, that you were talking about, because I see a lot of, there's like internet culture, there's movies, there's books. That might be another series, although it's kind of just a YouTube format in general, is like the guy who just did X, like really recently you did the guy who just read Blood Meridian or whatever.
Right, right.
um so going back to the groups of people that you target, what do you think, like how do you conceptualize that right now? What are those groups, and how do you pick what groups you're going to target?
Right. I mean, yeah, target is a strong word. I don't want I don't want to make it seem like I'm aiming my rifle to pinpoint who to get, because I think like I wish I did have more of like a calculus with that, where I could go like, yeah, these people, this group. But I think I think I guess I try to like be intuitive about like, okay, I'm seeing people liking this one or responding to this one. I've been watching these YouTube videos lately. I look at like my audience analytics to see what other videos they're watching and stuff, and like who's what the subjects are. I'm on Twitter too much and getting plugged into the discourse or whatever. So I don't know. I just kind of like listen, and hopefully something happens in the news cycle that's like, okay, those are the best ones, when it's like something happens with like some news, some entertainment news or something, and it's just like, oh, I
Yeah.
can I can talk about this, and it'll be simple. And but then other times it's like, well, what do I have to say? And sometimes I do feel like um wanting to like slow down the cycle of skits and do more long form content. That's like my end game, is to do fewer skits, more long form of videos at
Hmm.
a lower frequency, because I'm sure you feel that too, of like you just needing a bit of a break sometimes, not in terms of like, not to say like it's certainly a very fortunate kind of like position to be in, to be able to control your work schedule and everything. But also I'm a shitty procrastinating boss to myself,
Yeah.
and I'm, so to just kind of be able to unplug and be like, okay, this is my video I'm working on. I have a couple of weeks to prepare, or a week or whatever, but we'll see, if I can get to that point. And I think it's like you're struggling with yourself to have, I'm always struggling with myself to have a better schedule, better standards for how I get things done.
Yeah.
My wife is super organized and super type A, and I'm just like a mess,
Yeah.
so um
Same.
and yeah, and when you have like when you're self-employed, and it's like I have a bunch of different projects I'm working on that I want to get done, and writing, and all the books I want to read. So it's like just figuring out like how to manage my time better. That's like always my biggest thing.
What's your typical day like? You gave us a little glimpse where you said, you think about, oh man, is it 3 videos a week? Do you have like a regular upload schedule?
It's mostly regular, although I'll switch a day every now and then. I don't even know if my subscribers know if I have a regular
People
upload
don't
schedule,
know.
because
No.
yeah, people don't really pay attention. They just like, oh, a video's out, they'll watch it, or they'll just not care at all. So, but I do try to do 3 a week, usually Monday, Wednesday, Saturday, or I'll do Tuesday, Thursday, Sunday, or something like that.
Yeah. Is that how it's been from the beginning, even when you were doing like longer videos?
No, I started doing once a week, and then started doing skits. Then I did twice a week.
Yeah.
And then that summer of, I think, 2021, then I started doing 3 a week.
Okay. Wow. So take me through that recent term I learned, production cycle. I learned it from JJ McCullough, a great YouTuber. Newspaper term, from beginning to end. Let's go for a week. You need to make 3 videos. How does that work? Is it like, how far out of, just take me from beginning to end. I'm just going to leave it there. You interpret the question how you will.
Sure. Yeah. It's changed now that I'm out of school, fortunately. So
Right.
when I was in school, it was a ton of just sleepless nights, grabbing sleep anytime I could during the day. I'd usually pull all-nighters those 3 nights, because I would just be up trying to come up with stuff, or shooting something and then editing it, and then calculating, okay, I have this much time to shoot this thing. How long is it? Like a high concept thing where I have to do like green screen editing, or is it more of just like a simple thing? And actually, a lot of time, depending on how much time I have or how late I am, or, hey, I want to get the video out by 8 because it'll perform better at 8. But if I procrastinate, or if I can't come up with anything, then it's noon. Then do I just put it out the next day? So, just calculating that kind of stuff. And, so I guess now during the week, it's like Monday, I'll get up, then, take the dogs and pee, and Nadia works from home. So she, depending on her meetings and stuff, I got to, take care of the dogs and take them out and stuff. So, and then I have my longer videos I'm working on that are time consuming and involve a lot of writing and some research. And then, so I'll work on that, and then, get my video out. But yeah, it totally depends, I guess, on the video, on how long it takes to make. And then on days when I don't have a video, I'll just do a lot. We're very like, I don't know, like me and Nadia, we have a very good system of working from home, of taking care of everything, so her job is very demanding, and she has a lot of time she has to spend, in meetings and stuff. So I'm, taking care of, chores, housework, going out and running the errands and stuff. So there's that. And then, reading books for videos, and then writing stuff for videos. So I feel like I'm painting a very messy picture of this. I guess it's different every week, I guess. I don't have I don't know. Do you have more like of a very definite schedule of like, this is my work time? I guess you have to when you have a kid,
Yeah, well, in the sense of this is my work time, yeah, which is really different than what it used to be. So now that we have a kid, basically I have the hours that he's at daycare to work, and then
Hmm.
maybe a little bit on the weekend. But before the baby, it was like anytime, all the time, whatever. So in some
Yeah.
sense, it's good to be able to have the work-life balance imposed on me because
Hmm.
once you have a kid, it's really true that your priorities get totally shifted to the point where it's like, I don't really care anymore. Like I care about him and that's about it. And
Hmm.
obviously the YouTube is important because that's supporting him. And I care about the content I make. It's not like I don't care, like I'm checked out, but it is like not as life and death as it used to be.
Hmm.
Like before I was constantly plugged into it and every day the numbers would destroy me or lift me up. And now it's like right now my channel's in a bit of a slump. And if this was before he was born, I'd be like having, an existential crisis. And now I'm just like, I'll turn it around, or maybe I won't. Like I don't know. So um but within those work hours that are defined for me, it is kind of all over the place depending on what I'm doing. I mean, I'm sure if I really looked at it, there is some kind of structure. I guess if we just start from the basics, do you just do one video at a time from beginning to end and then the next one? Or do you like sit down and say, this week I'm doing these three and, to make sure that you're kind of covering a variation of subjects, or is it just like Monday I did my video, what's next? Like what just in that phase, what is it like?
Oh yeah, it's definitely the latter. It's definitely like, all right, this video is done. I just conceived of the idea. I just wrote it. I just shot it. I just edited it. I just posted it. I don't want to think about YouTube. I don't want to think about videos until I have to do the next one.
Right.
Um, you know, because I think I'm always like indecisive about what the video is going to be until like the last minute. When I just think, and because I do think I have a bad habit with pressure and stress where I feel like I can't do it right unless it's like I'm like anxious about it. So
Mm-hmm.
um but I mean I totally get that what you mean, like that. Having I definitely have more structure now than I did, just because we have, the way we were living and taking care of the dogs, and it's not like it's a little more contained. But I think like when you talk about like periods of being in a slump, and the more I look at like other YouTubers and other, everyone, like it's everyone goes through periods of slump and then peaks, and then it's just like up and down all the time. And I think like I used to be very stressed about those periods, like, oh my God, what am I going to do to get out of this? And just my mental health would be reflected by however the numbers are doing. And it's like, I'll get down and just be like, oh, I got to, get something else for the channel, or spice things up when that happens. But I guess I relate to your feelings where it's just like, well, it's just how it is, it'll change. And um, now I feel like periods when things are doing well are even a little more stressful, because you're like, all right, now's the time. I gotta like put, everything I got into it, and keep it up as much as I can. But yeah, I mean, it's tricky when you're seeing numbers, and when your income is determined by the success or of a video. You start to get in your head about things. And um, yeah, so
Do
I
you let it
guess
go ahead?
no, go ahead.
I was going to say, do you let it get to you sometimes to the point of the content you make is determined by the numbers of the most recent videos, or are you able to keep yourself self-directed and be like, I'm going to shut that out as I decide what to do next, regardless of if things are going well or things are going poorly?
I don't know. I mean, I think I try to be as objective about it as possible, and I really do like try to think, okay, what do I want to do? Like, what do I think is funny? What is um available to me that I think would work. You know, some days though, you just have to like compromise and be like, all right, this isn't my favorite concept, but maybe if I write it the right way and perform it the right way and edit it the right way, then it could work, you know. But I mean, at the end of the day, I think what like guides me in terms of the quality of anything is going, I can't determine the quality at all. Like I'm not objective about anything I do. I think something is great when I make it and other people may not like it. I think something is shit when I make it. Other people think it's, you know, a good video. So I don't know if you feel that way too, but I'm just like, all right, this is what I came up with. This is what I'm putting out. I can't, you know, I have to just kind of like let it be what it is.
Yeah, exactly. I agree. I don't have the ability to judge my work.
Yeah.
Sometimes am I am coincidentally correct in my evaluation of my own work. But the other thing is, it's like that's what's frustrating is it good? Like, is the audience, is the view count reflective of how good it was or not? And
Yeah.
sometimes it is, and that's not apparent until later. And so many things are in retrospect, and I wonder, is this reality or is this just now my opinion because of what the numbers are? I'll make a video, like if we talk, so you and I did a video. If
Mhm.
Google was your doctor, it didn't do well. Like it
Mhm.
was, it underperformed, and I went into it knowing like, hey, this doesn't have like my typical keywords or whatever. It's kind of out there, uh, subject wise for my channel. But I was like, I think it's funny. The script is, making me laugh, so why not? And then afterwards, I was like, well, clearly it was a terrible idea. Like when it did badly, I was like, well, clearly that joke is played out. I shouldn't have ever made that. Why did I think that would be a good idea? And now I've changed the thumbnail to just experiment, and it's doing a little better. Like there hasn't been a spike, but it's continued to gain views. It hasn't like died in the water. So I'm like, okay, maybe it wasn't a bad idea. Maybe it wasn't that bad. I have no idea. That's what is so frustrating is title and thumbnail really determine what
Oh yeah.
happens with a
Hmm.
video.
Hmm.
And it's it's tough because it's like you and I, we want to make content, we want to be funny, we want to entertain people. We don't want to be marketers. We're thinking about how can I trick someone into clicking this. We don't want to be graphic designers. And like again, like you said earlier, not to complain because it's a great job, but it does get frustrating when you're like, I don't know anymore if this video was good or not, or if it's just the thumbnail, or if it's just the title. Because
Hmm.
I look at audience retention graphs and I'm like, well, the audience retention is high, but no one's clicking. So what is it? Um, yeah. So like, yeah, I have no no idea. I make videos all the time where I'm like, this is crap. They do well. Videos where I'm like, this is great. I'm really proud of this video. They do very poorly. I'm like, okay, well. So I probably approach it differently than you do, where I go into it thinking, what does the audience want to see? What are they going to click on? What are they going to laugh at? What are they going to find relatable? And then I work backwards from there to figure out, well, what's my interest in this? And how can I make this idea funny? And maybe that's my problem. Maybe if it's hard to know because sometimes I
Hmm.
feel like uh, my audience is interested more in relatability of content rather than like cleverness of jokes, if that makes sense, which makes it difficult sometimes because I'll be like, this is not funny, but it might get clicks because it's relatable. And I'm much more drawn to, oh, this is funny, even though it's like, I can't relate to this, but I just want to laugh. Like I watch
Hmm.
your videos all the time. I've never read Blood Meridian before, but I can watch your video and laugh because I get the idea that he has read this book and now is speaking like Cormac McCarthy. So it's weird to me because my audience, I guess it makes sense. My audience came to my channel for personality stuff because it's relatable to them. It's speaking to them directly. So when I make stuff that doesn't speak to them directly, they don't want to watch. But
Yeah.
all that is to say, I don't know what I'm doing. Nobody knows anything. I feel like
No.
nobody knows
Yeah.
anything on YouTube.
No.
And Mr. Beast, being as successful as he is, it seems like he knows something, but it's possible he doesn't know anything and just worked really hard and got lucky. Like, we don't know, because to me, it just seems like no one knows anything. So
No, it's insane. I mean, it is like an insane kind of world when you think about it, and kind of like um career to have, and
yeah,
like, again, like talking about it now with you is great, and I like talking about it. Like, I love talking to other YouTubers, especially because it's like, I know, like exactly what it
yeah,
feels like. I know, like, the anxiety of that, what it feels like when things go really well. But I know, like, day to day, like, I can't even think about it.
yeah,
I can't overanalyze it. Maybe that's what I do just in general in terms of my life. Like, if I think about it for too long, there's no point in it, because if I put too much thought into, okay, is this video like respecting my audience in a way, and respecting my artistic process, and is this something I believe in? I wouldn't put anything out ever, because I would just be second guessing every second. And the more I just kind of go like, well, what the hell, this is what I'm doing, then it seems to work. And have I just have to kind of let it go. And if it doesn't work, then it doesn't work. If it does, then great, And then then I have stuff that I do, really, really care about, that I'm like really focused on, like when I did last year, my Wheel of Time, like hour-long show breakdown.
yeah,
There are a ton of people who watch my channel who have no watch the skits or whatever, but that did well, and it did well for the channel. And that was like a huge thing for me, because I'm like, I put a lot of work into that. I'm really glad that worked out, even if it didn't get a ton of views. I'm super proud of that. And then you have a video like the other day, I did some 18-second skit about how YouTubers use like the clicks, transition sounds, during video essays, that sort of thing.
oh yeah, yeah,
And that was something that I had thought about for a while, like, oh, I could do that as a skit. But then I was like, I have no ideas at all today. Like, I can't come up with anything. It's like 2 p.m. Like, I'm way behind on what I need to do. We have to go out and go shopping, like, so I just got to do something. So how about this thing I came up with that I don't love, that is just kind of dumb? Let me put it out. And then it did really well, So yeah, I mean, yeah, I guess just removing your your feelings about any of it tends to help the best, at least for me.
yeah. Do you ever make a video and then not release it because you're just like, at the end of it, it's ready to go, and you're like, this is just crap, I can't put it out?
Yeah, I mean, I usually will have like a moment where I'm just like about to film it, or it usually, once I film it, then I'm just like, oh, I have something in the can, I'm going to use it,
Yeah,
because to me, the hardest part is like just shooting it, because I don't
right.
mind sitting there typing it out. Like, I think that's fun. I'm a writer. I like sitting there and just writing, but getting in front of the camera, filming it, that's the most stressful. But once that part's done, I'm just like, great, I can sit down and edit it. Editing is fun, because if a joke doesn't work, you can manipulate it. You can put a fucking Vine boom sound effect,
Yeah,
it's like, you can, like, a lot of my videos, I feel like they get made in editing where I
right,
don't see the humor in it necessarily until I'm watching it, and I can go, okay, if I cut it this way, then it has some life to it. So
right.
yeah.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. What is your editing? This is a very specific question, but your editing style is very distinct. Where did you gather that inspiration? Were you an editor before you started doing videos, or did you learn it on the fly because you had to?
Oh, yeah, that's an interesting question. I mean, it makes me happy to hear that the editing style is distinct, because I don't know, what I'm
Oh, we had you drop
of
out
when
first.
people.
Sorry, hold
Oh,
on. So
sorry.
you dropped out for a second. So go back to you said the last thing I heard was you're glad that I think it's distinct because
Yeah, yeah, no, well, because I don't consciously do that, but I guess I'm inspired by like old internet humor. Like I like it when people comment on the videos and they're like, "This reminds me of like watching YouTube back in, you know, 2010 or whatever," because I want it to feel kind of scrappy and not
yeah,
totally put together. Like that's totally intentional, and you know, um, I don't know. I mean, I studied film in San Francisco for like a year when I graduated. I went to a few different schools, but first I went to San Francisco, studied there. One of my professors um, was wonderful and kind of he had a very like freewheeling style that he approached with film. His name was Christopher Coppola. He was he talked a lot about just like having the like high art and low art and combining. And at the time, like I'm a film student, I'm watching David Lynch. I'm like so pretentious about all of
yeah,
these, movies. I want to be a director. I want to make these artistic films. And he's kind of like, there's great stuff in what the Adam Sandler comedies that you also watch. Like you don't have to separate, what you think is high art from low art. And that was a big deal for me. But I was always making films. Like in high school, I was really like ambitious. I made like a feature film like with my friends. I just forced them into
yeah,
making a movie that was like an insane like ridiculous like pretentious film, but it was like a good experiment for me to use a camera and edit and stuff. So I guess like I've always been approaching it from like a film angle. I mean, it's interesting because you have YouTubers who are like coming at it from just like a pure comedy angle. They wanted to be, comedians, or they're coming at it from like a journalist angle, or like from an art angle. I feel like J-Reg, his whole channel is more like this experimental art project, and he's coming at it from that angle. I know he studied journalism, so that
yeah.
influences it too. So I think where you're coming from is it's all about that. And I guess I started, and my whole influence was just like filmmaking, and I like editing. So that's, I don't know, like when you're making so many videos all the time, your influences and what you like and your whole life just ends up coming into it. I'm sure you've seen that for your own videos. You're just kind of plunging the depths of everything that you got.
Yeah, for me, it feels because I never started editing until I started making videos. And then I had to kind of just figure it out as I went. And each new editing technique that I would bring into a video, I felt very self-conscious about because I was like, this is not going to be good. I'm not going to do it right. And I
Mm.
was just like trying to either consciously emulate someone else, or I was just going intuitively with what I thought was right, which was, is just me copying someone without realizing who I'm copying. Yeah,
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
so then with comedy especially, it's interesting to look at my videos from a few years ago, the comedy videos, because I'm like, these are paced terribly, they're edited terribly. I don't know what I was thinking. But then sometimes I look at videos I made just a few weeks ago and I'm like, actually, this is terrible. What am I, it's like, it's hard to know what's what's the right way to do it, and am I going too far one way, too far the other way. um but yeah, your videos have like a very frantic editing style, but the pacing isn't too fast, like the
Okay.
speed at which the lines go. And I feel like what's also interesting is your use of like reactions. And a lot of times it feels like you edited together things that were not supposed to be together so that the reaction isn't quite matching the line, which makes it even funnier because it's like such a abnormal reaction to have. Which I don't know if you do that on purpose or if it's just if I'm offending you right now because you're like, I put so much passion into that acting role of the reactions. Yeah.
No,
So
that's perfect. Yeah, I mean, I definitely like try to put some kind of like messiness in there, and
yeah.
if it's frantic, that makes me happy because again, like I'm doing, if it's like a short skit, like and someone misses something and they rewatch it, that benefits me. That benefits me, you know, if they have to like go see like, okay, what was that? Did I miss that joke? Did I catch exactly
Right.
what he
That's
said? You
true.
know,
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
that only helps my purposes, and I kind of like that energy. And you know, again, like I love like old, you know, YouTube comedy, and I mean, like Gus Johnson, of course, like his content
Yeah.
was huge, and that was a big influence, you know, before I even started making videos. So yeah, and I also try to make it, because like when you make videos with just yourself, it's kind of lonely and um not super fun, and it can feel very kind of boring and serious when you do
Yeah.
it. And I try when I'm filming to put any kind of like energy or spontaneity, because that's what I love watching in YouTube videos. And if it can be spontaneous, like if I can't be spontaneous with another person, I got to try to fake it with myself, you know? So it's like, if I can make people think that there's actually two people in the room instead of just me being an idiot, you know, then that makes me really happy.
Yeah. What techniques do you use to do that? I mean, you say you write the scripts out. Do you just kind of like try to grab a line off the paper and go? Do you have, um, or do you just kind of like use that as a guideline and then go off of memory?
Oh yeah, I don't memorize anything. Because I'll just like hold my phone and just be like, okay,
Yeah.
you know. Um, and then, but sometimes if it's something I come up with and I'm just like, sometimes I won't do a script and I'll just be like, I kind of have an idea of where this will go. And sometimes I love the result because I'll just say something stupid and I can edit it to a certain way. And sometimes I miss things because I'm tired and I don't hit the punchline and I'm playing three different characters and I forget that one character said this. And so
Right.
in those instances, it benefits me to write it down. But you know, when I don't, sometimes it's more fun that way. So yeah, I guess it depends.
Yeah. That's the worst when it's like, I, even like I'll have a script even and I'll forget to record a line. And I'm like, really, dude?
Oh
Like,
yeah. And then you got to
uh,
go put the other shirt back on.
yeah. And it's like I edit so far from when I film or I give it to my editor and he'll text me and be like, dude, you forgot this line. I'm like, no, I
Oh,
filmed that hours ago. Like now I have to go back and do that.
when did you
Uh
start using an editor? I'm curious how that process has been, like finding someone who can edit in your style.
yeah, well, I first started using an editor regularly towards the end of 2020, and that came out of necessity because I was going to go on vacation for like a week and a half and I wasn't going to be able to work. So I needed
Mm.
to give a bunch of videos to people to edit. So that's how it started. And then my 16 personalities comedy sketches from there, I would give to the editor every week. And it was a great working relationship. This guy named Ty, who actually JJ recommended him to me. And then early 2022, my old friend I've known for 10 plus years, Kevin, who has become editor Kevin on my channel, he started working for me and now he edits pretty much all my stuff. And with some exceptions, because a lot of times I'm working so at the last second that I don't have time to give it to him. And I feel I
Mm.
wouldn't want to ask him to do it because it's like, 5 p.m. the day before and I want to post it at noon. So,
Right.
yeah, so it was a gradual thing that came out of necessity, but I do like editing depending on what it is, because a lot of times, like you said, the story and the comedy comes out in the editing, and there are jokes where it's like, if you don't do it exactly right in the editing, they don't land. And sometimes it's not apparent to someone else, which maybe is a bad sign if the joke is landing or not. Like I've gotten sketches back sometimes, not to throw editors under the bus, but okay, everyone misses something every once in a while. And I'm like, this joke didn't land at all, and it makes me look so dumb. It's like, do you think I'm not funny? Like, no one's gonna laugh at this joke the way it's edited. But yeah, I mean, but it's probably just like the editor thinks it's funny, and it's just me going into it thinking I want it to be exactly like this, and if it's not like that, it's not funny. So yeah, but editing's fun. But I do agree with you that filming a lot of times is the chore in the middle. Though I try to make it as fun as I can as well. And it's tough. Like what I struggle with is the setting up of lights and camera. I'm like, this is such a pain, even though it's mostly set up for me because I have a dedicated space. It's like, oh my gosh, it's just too much.
Yeah, I mean, you have great lighting. You really and you have great like green screen, everything. Like you got a really nice professional setup. So I understand why that would take time. With what I do, I just like I have 2 lights, and I'm just like, I'll put them somewhere, and I'm like, that's fine.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's the better way to go. Like, I like your setup, and sometimes I think I need to be more scrappy, to make it look a little rougher, because I think there's a point where you reach, the uncanny valley of professionalism where it's like, you're like, I'm good enough where it's starting to be clear that I'm not a professional videographer. Like of course I am professional, but it's like I don't have any training. I'm just I'm self-taught on all this. Whereas before, when I was using a camera that was like kind of blurry and my lights weren't very good and I didn't know how to set the white balance on my camera, it's like it's clear that I'm not a pro, so you can like get past it faster. So but I'm just such a gear guy. I just like getting the best quality I can, it's tough.
Oh, no, that's good. I mean, I wish I were more of a gearhead. Like I have the worst, I just have no patience for that, like, specs and all that stuff. So I guess that ends up helping in terms of looking scrappy, but I also feel like if I wanted it to look good, I wouldn't know how. So,
right.
But you do have that fear too, where it's like, I'm making something, I'm like, yeah, this is a little too like, I need to like mess something up. Like, and I'll do that intentionally sometimes where I'm like, I just got to throw something in there that doesn't look too good, to make it feel a little more. And even like, I know Mr. Beast does that, like with his videos still, where they won't use like the best cameras. Like he can afford to get the best cameras and the best stuff, but they still want, footage from iPhones, recording certain things. And because that's part of the charm of YouTube is that it just feels like your friend making something stupid,
Yeah. No, yeah, it's exactly right. It's like I always watch Caleb City and his comedy sketches, because his production is very good, but it's still got that homemade feel to it where he's not like, he does have sometimes like very elaborate effects in his videos, but it still feels like someone just made it at home. And yeah, I always like that. The other thing with him that I've discovered recently is that he doesn't like make a special thumbnail for his videos. He just uses one of the YouTube auto-generated ones every time. And I'm like, is that part of the appeal? Like, do people just like instantly recognize this is a bad thumbnail? Let me click on it because that means it's a comedy sketch. That's a very that's a very 2010 comedy kind of thing on YouTube. Like, bad screenshot means comedy.
I've thought about that a lot too, especially, and I agonize over thumbnails where sometimes I'm like, I do feel like I've gotten a little better at like thumbnail effects and like highlighting certain things to focus on. But there are also times when I'm like, this video doesn't need something special. Like I just one screenshot. I always do my orange borders because I'm, I just always do it. But
Yeah.
you know, it's a weird thing. You like, and also comedy is like on YouTube especially is changing. Like it's all short form comedy or sketches and everything is changing because of TikTok, because of shorts, because of Instagram reels. So people have different expectations for what to get in terms of like a horizontal video than and some YouTubers, they'll do longer sketches. I do you feel pressure to put out more shorts than you're comfortable with, or do you like putting out shorts and stuff?
I don't know. I resist shorts because I feel like I don't understand. Like, on the one hand, you could just look at it as, oh, it's just comedy videos or non-comedy, just videos that are 60 seconds or less. But I feel like it's different than that, and I don't feel confident in making that kind of content. And maybe that's just me. I have made, like, I don't know, a dozen shorts over the last couple years or whatever. A couple of them did all right. A lot of them just kind of like didn't do much for me, and I don't know how they feed into the ecosystem of a channel, because it used to be they were completely separate from long videos. Then YouTube says, oh no, your long form content will be recommended to people who like your shorts. But I don't know. I just see so many comedy channels where it's like they release shorts and they get 1 million views, and they release, a long, and they get 100K. And I guess, that's better than just the 100K, but it doesn't seem to me like it's really growing their audience in a way that is worth the time. And I'm always just looking for time to, like, my time investment has to be worth it. And I'm not just looking to grow an audience for the heck of it. Like, I want them to stay around, you know what I mean? And that's interesting that you bring it up, because a lot of your videos are under 60 seconds, but you make them horizontal, non-short videos anyway. What's your thought process behind that?
Oh man, I'm totally with you 100% on like all your suspicions and fears about shorts, because I see the same thing with other channels, using shorts that I know YouTube is hyping it up and saying, hey, this is going to do super well for you. This is going to help you out. I'm suspicious of if they're just saying that to say that because they want their shorts to do well.
Right.
I know they did like a more of a money sharing plan with it. So the idea is people are going to make more. It still can't match the money you get from a horizontal, even a short horizontal video, and again, that fear of like just inflating, because I know they'll bring in subscribers, but it's like, I know that also hurts when you have a lot of subscribers, but they aren't watching the main stuff. So
right.
I feel tempted, and I get comments where people are like, why don't you do this as a short? This would work as a short too. And it's like, well, also, if I'm going to do shorts, I want to pivot and actually make content that would work in shorts and not just take horizontal videos and crop them, because I can, and I might get views and subscribers. But yeah, I mean, I think once people don't realize, like, once you are like focused full time on it, and like I'm no longer thinking like, okay, what is next month going to look like? I'm thinking like, okay, how long is this channel going to go for? How many years am I going to do this? What kind of audience do I want? Who's going to be, who are the people actually commenting on the videos? And I feel like YouTube and the people who watch my videos, that I read comments, and they say like, hey, this is what we like. And it's a different presentation. You have that thumbnail title combo where it is sort of like opening up a joke, or getting surprised, and it's a different dynamic. It's more of an engagement, and the kind of people who are watching it and interacting are more engaged in the channel as a whole than if you're just swiping. So, I mean, to me, I feel like the pros way outnumber, the cons in terms of avoiding shorts. So maybe one day I'll start doing them, I have no idea, but in terms of right now, I'm just more suspicious and I'm super cautious. That's why I just don't want to like put all in on something new that sounds, flashy.
Right. I mean, you've got something that works. Why switch it up? Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
Doesn't. Yeah. And I agree with you where it's like, I feel like YouTube is just saying, hey, shorts are a great thing. And they're pushing it big time just because they want to be competitive with TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, etc. Like, yeah, it's clear. Like, if you're just looking at it, yeah, people who watch shorts, you typically just watch shorts, at least from what I've
Yeah.
seen. It's like, yeah, okay, you can start recommending my long form videos to them, but it doesn't matter if they only want to watch the shorts. And
Yeah.
as you said, it will hurt if, oh, my long form videos are now getting recommended to them, but they're not clicking because they don't want to watch my long form. They only want to watch my shorts.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. And another thing is like I can only make stuff that I actually like and I watch myself. And I don't spend a lot of time watching TikTok or shorts, and
right.
so I don't even know how to like approach it from that angle. And I'm like, I know the people that watch my videos, they aren't watching it either. So it's like, why would I suddenly try to do that? You know?
Yeah. Yeah, it's true. It's like, yeah, I always, when I make a short, I feel kind of a lack of confidence because I don't consume shorts. I don't consume TikTok. I do look at Instagram Reels, but I feel like that's even farther downstream where it's like not even like,
It's like eating fries. It's like having a bird, it's like you're
yeah,
eating junk food. And I always feel like when I'm watching it, I feel a little like, all right, I need to do something else now.
right. Yeah, exactly. I totally agree with you. So it's official. Jake and Frank say no to shorts. We are
Just say no to shorts.
we're right. That's our YouTube recommendation. To wrap things up, I have a few specific questions for you. Well, they're specific, but they're like very wide open. Have you ever heard? I just heard of this recently. Have you ever heard of Brian Eno's oblique strategies cards?
Mm-mm.
So he made these cards that basically, when he's stuck in a creative rut, he'll pull a card out and it says something on it to help like unstuck yourself from where you are.
Yeah.
So for example, you pull a card and it says, try working a little slower or something. And I saw a YouTube video where he's explaining it and he's like saying, well, I will literally then walk slowly to the keyboard now, or there'll be other things that may be a bit more abstract.
Mm.
So that's what I want to ask you now. If you were to write a card that could go into, a deck of cards for you or anyone to pull when they're just like creatively blocked, when they're struggling to make a video or to make whatever they're making, what would you put on it? And I have 3 different types of cards. So first up would be a question. What kind of question would you put on a card to like rattle someone's mind a bit and get them to move past the block?
Just for me, the question would be like, who is this for? I'm always thinking about the audience, first. And I don't really want, yeah, I guess just, yeah, that's it.
That's good. It's simple. It's just something to refocus yourself or, jostle your mind a bit. Let's another one, but instead of a question, it's what I call an invitation, where it's more of like a command of something to do. I call it invitation because it's a little more easy to do. So, for example, like I said before, do it slowly. Do it more slowly, whatever you're doing. Another one that I've written down, or that I've also written down ones that are like very specific, like drink a glass of water, like it's just something to break yourself and move yourself around. What invitation would you write on a card?
Do it bad,
That's a good
you
one.
know, just if you just to get it done, when you're in the frame of mind, when you're just like, I can't do it, it's not going right, just like do it bad, just do a bad job.
Yeah, that's really good. It helps you break past the perfectionism that we often have. We hold these weird standards that no one else cares about. So
Yeah.
And then lastly, a statement. So it's not a command, not a question, but just like here's maybe a koan for you, or you could call it that. So one that I have written down is, none of this is real. That's that's something I say to myself all the time when I'm like stuck and getting frustrated. I'm like, none of this is real. Just like, doesn't matter.
Yeah. It's a good one.
Thanks.
I might have to steal yours.
Okay, well, that's fair.
It's supposed to be fun,
That's a good one, because sometimes I'm in the middle of filming and I'm like, my wife can hear me downstairs going like, I sound like the father in A Christmas Story, when he's fixing the heater down in the basement, and it's like I need to stop and remind myself, no, this is supposed to be fun. Like you're a YouTuber. This is what all the kids want to be. Like, just let it go.
Yeah.
That's great. Well, Jake, it's been a great conversation here on the podcast. Thank you for joining me.
Thanks for inviting me.
Yeah, it's been a pleasure.
It has. Yeah. Thanks a lot. This was fun.
That it's supposed to be. That's wise man told me that once.
Yeah. And you're a great interviewer. This was very good.
Thank you.